All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
What's going on, everybody? This is Nate the Great coming to you live from the All Sports All Plays Network. We're here. Ray unfortunately couldn't make it tonight, but we do have a guest. I do have a guest coming on. How is it going, Jonathan?
Hey, Nate. Hey, Greg. It's going well for me. You know, baseball is one of my favorite topics to talk about. So, you know what? This is a great show to be on tonight. And, you know, I'm ready to go, guys.
Yeah, playing baseball myself is really, really fun to talk about. But before we do that, we do have a couple of housekeeping stuff we got to take care of. First off is the Suzanne Paparazzi Jewelry.
Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us, from all of us here at the ASAP Network.
And now, Misty Meadows. I just want to remind everybody that for those people like Freddie in the comment section who are watching the show right now, all you have to do is do exactly what Freddie did and just like the show, follow the show, share the show, and be engaged in the show. By doing that, we just tally up all the in the month that each individual person made, and the winner, the person who gets the most comments, is the winner. The winner earns a free T-shirt. You know, but say for a second you're driving and you're doing something which you can't comment right there at the moment. We understand, but you still want a T-shirt. $14.99 plus shipping and handling. Sizes go from small to 2XL. And if you wanted a 3XL or you wanted to go a size larger, that's totally fine. It just costs, maybe $1 for 2 extra. Now we're gonna go right into the topics. We're actually gonna start off with Greg on this one. And your list out of all time, what are the top 5 Atlanta Braves pitchers? I'm going to go with Greg on this one first.
All right, Nate, Jonathan, here it goes. He won 244 games for the Braves. He was a Cy Young Award winner in 91 and 98. And he won 20-plus games, had 20-plus wins in 5 seasons in his career with the Braves. At number 4, I got the old man, Phil Niekro. He pitched until he was 48 years old. Picked up 266 wins for the Braves. He almost had 300,000 strikeouts for him. In the 70s, he picked up in the decade of the 70s, he picked up 164 wins, which was 8th most all time during that time frame. He was also well known for being one of the best knuckleball throwers, which is an art form that is completely lost in today's game. I think that the last true solid knuckleball thrower I saw that was pretty decent was Tim Wakefield. So the knuckleball is definitely kind of a lost art form. So Phil Niekro I have in the 4-hole. And then, in the 3-hole, we got Hall of Famer John Smoltz. He picked up 210 wins in a Braves uniform. He had 154 saves. He's one of 2 pitchers. Him and Eckersley are the only 2 pitchers to pick up over 150 wins as a starter and over 150 saves. So he was a Hall of Famer a few years ago. He was a great catalyst for that, early 90s to mid 90s success for the Braves. And he got picked up by the Braves for pretty much nothing. I mean, basically the Braves sent Doyle Alexander over to Detroit in exchange for a young prospect in John Smoltz, and it worked out pretty well for the Braves. So this is a tough list, but yeah, I got Smoltz at the number 3. We got another Hall of Famer. We got Warren Spahn in the 2-hole. Warren Spahn, he could go down on a very short list as one of the best all-time left-handed pitchers of all time. In 1999, Major League Baseball came up with an award called the Warren Spahn Award, which is handed out to Major League Baseball's top left-handed pitcher for each season. So, Warren Spahn, he had 356 wins, one of the all-time great lefties, right up there with Randy Johnson, Steve Carlton, Sandy Koufax. I mean, when you think of Warren Spahn, I mean, he was in the Hall of Fame, in 1973 or so when he got elected. So yeah, they got an award after him. He won 202 wins in the 1950s, which led the league for that time span from 1950 to 1960. So an excellent pitcher, excellent command of the baseball. But the number 1 guy had even greater command. Greg Maddux. Greg Maddux is my number 1 all time. What's funny about Greg Maddux is he won the Cy Young Award with the Cubs right before he got sent over to the Atlanta Braves. And then when you look at his contract in comparison to today's game, it was nothing. I think he signed for about $26 million with the Braves in 1993, I believe. And then his first 3 seasons with the Braves, he won 3 consecutive Cy Young Awards. And then in 1994, he had one of the greatest seasons of all time with a 1.56 ERA, won 16 games, 6 losses. Then in 95, he followed that up with 19 wins and 2 losses and a 1.63 ERA. Excellent command. The Braves in the 90s had an excellent pitching staff. It's unfortunate that they only put together 1 World Series win, during that span. They made it several times, but they just couldn't quite get over the hump a few times. But yeah, I mean, you're talking Maddux, Smoltz, Glavine. I mean, they had the tools, they had the pitchers. Unfortunately, they didn't have the rest of it quite to finish it off. Most times that they made it to the World Series. But I would say the Greg Maddux is who I have in the top spot. So that's who I got. My top 5.
So I'm actually gonna go next on this one. I'm gonna go. I have a question. Before I go, I have a question for Greg. Actually, you kind of cut out when you said your number 5. Did you go with Tom Glavine?
Yeah, I went with Tom Glavine in my number 5.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
we had the same list, almost the same. We had pretty much the same list.
Well, I had Glavine at the number 5, 244 wins. It was unfortunate. He is one of those guys that also I felt should have been a 1-team guy. It was unfortunate that when he picked up his 300th victory, it was in a Mets uniform, because I think that for everything that he gave the Atlanta Braves, I felt like he deserved to be a 1-team guy, one of those legendary pitchers.
I'm still going to read it off. Number 5, I have Tom Glavine. He pitched most of his time in Atlanta. one of the best left-handed pitchers in the game of all time. He had the Cy Young Award winner in 91, 98. He had topped with 20 win mark 5 times, leading the NL in that category each time. At 8 All-Star appearances. He had also went from a 12 to 14 with a 3.44 ERA, 32 postseason starts, and a 1995 World Series MVP. Number 4, I'm going to go with Phil Niekro. One of the best knuckleballer pitchers of the game. Niekro had 20 seasons in his career pitching with the Braves, with the 3rd most wins in franchise history. His 164 wins during the 1970s were the 8th most in that decade that was known for the fantastic pitching. He won at least 15 games 8 times during that decade while leading the NL in victories. Not once, but twice. He pitched, till he was 48, returning to the Braves for one last start before calling a career in 1987. Number 3, I'm going to go with John Smoltz. He pitched for 20 years, 708 games, 466 game saves. He was just one of just 2 players with 150 wins and 150 saves for his career. Other being Hall of Famer Dennis Eckersley. Smoltz secured a place not in one of the best pitchers in Braves history, but one of the all-time best during his 21-year career. For 11 years, he went 157, 113 with a 3.35 ERA, including a 24-8 season in 1996. Warren Spahn also pitched for 120 years, 714 games. He won 20-plus games 12 times in his career, with the league leading the league in that category from 5 years, from 1957 to 1961. Here in the Hall of Fame, in enshrinement in 1973, garnering 83.2% of the vote on his first year in that ballot. And then number 1, how could you not? Greg Maddux. Right-handed. He's a right-hander that signed for a 5-year, $28 million contract with the Braves, following a Cy Young campaign with the Cubs in 1992, joining an already great pitching staffs in baseball. He had 3 more Cy Young winning seasons for his first 3 years in Atlanta, and he was just amazing. I'm gonna go with Jonathan next. And what is your all-time best pitchers for Atlanta? What is your top 5?
I was fortunate to grow up in the 90s. And growing up in the 90s, I saw what the Braves had, which was a very deep starting rotation. It was one of the best starting rotations of all time. I think we all can agree with that. They were just remarkable. But my 5, I'm going to go with Kid Nichols. He ranks up there as one of the best pitchers, and he's in my top 5 as a Braves pitcher. And then I got 4 I got Phil Niekro. I think he was one of the best knuckleball throwers in the game. That has been well established for so many years. And then for number 3, I got Tom Galvin. I watched him growing up. He was just an amazing arm for the Braves. Like Greg said, it sucks that he couldn't finish his career with one team. He should have finished his career as a Brave, but he will always go down as one of the best left-handed throwers in baseball. He was, just simply stu- sensational whenever he got the ball. And, he would dominate on the mound. And then number 2, I have to go with John Smoltz. John Smoltz was my favorite pitcher, by the way, growing up. Seeing him during childhood, I wanted to be like him. When I would pitch, I wasn't a pitcher. I was a position player. I was an outfielder when I played, as a kid. But, I would try to emulate his pitching style every time I decided I wanted to be a pitcher. I wasn't very good at it, no, but John Smoltz is definitely my guy. One of the greatest memories I have is when he pitched in Game 7 in 1992. I was 7 years old. They lost that. They won that game thanks to that incredible slide late in that Game 7. That was just a crazy wild finish. Yeah. For the Braves. And then number 1, how can you not go with Greg Maddux? So I agree with both of you guys. Greg Maddux was at the peak of his career by the time he signed with the Braves. He was simply amazing during his whole time as a Brave. And he was just fun to watch. It was amazing how he could pitch around guys and how he can, control his pitches on the mound. And he was great at staying ahead of the count. That was what was so remarkable about Greg Maddux. He was just an outstanding pitcher overall. So he's definitely number 1 on my list.
We have a comment actually from Jim Wright. I'm confused, however, what he means about that though. Do you guys have any idea? No Steve Avery love?
Definitely. Steve Avery was a remarkable pitcher as well. He was good, but he doesn't make my top 5. It's just too many other better pitchers that qualify for that list. Unfortunately, you can't have everyone in your top 5, and Steve Avery just doesn't get on my top 5 list. But you know what? He was just as good as the rest of them in that starting rotation, and you have to give him a lot of credit as well for what he was able to do on that Braves 90s team. I'm telling you, that Braves 90 team was deep, and they were just fun to watch. Nobody could beat them. They just couldn't finish in the end. They'll get all the way to the end, and they just couldn't, cash in. They did what the Dodgers done in previous years in this generation. They had all the pieces necessary to make that run and to finish the job. They just couldn't. But Steve Avery, unfortunately, gets left off my list.
So we're actually going to move on and talk about the next topic. What Major League Baseball team, this season, it says it's still going on, spring training. What team honestly surprised you the most? We're gonna go with Jonathan since Greg went first last time.
Well, the Royals, I have 2 teams actually, and the Royals is one of them. Bobby Witt Jr. has been nothing short of sensational. He hasn't played a regular season game, but it looks like he can earn a spot on the roster this year. He's one of the Royals' top prospects. He has made eye-opening plays with his legs, with his bat, with his glove. And then the other guy that I've been keeping a close eye on is Hunter Dozier. He is a versatile player who has proven he can play just about anywhere. You could put him at third base. You could put him in right field. And the guy can also hit power, which is really amazing. So this Royals team looks promising early on. I know it's only the spring training, but I mean, you look what this team has been able to do in such a short time. The Royals have an aggressive coaching staff, and they have a very supportive team. They have guys that's peaking at the right time. Let's see how well they do when the regular season kicks in. The Royals have won 12 of their last of their first 15 games. I'm sorry. Despite coming off back-to-back losses, that's going to happen, because you're still working out the kinks. You're still learning how to gel together as a team, and you're just getting back into the flow of things. So it's going to take some time, but the Royals have been a surprise. And then another team is right here in our backyard, 20 minutes away from here, actually, is the Angels, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I think they've been an early surprise in spring training. They got great pitching now with Alex Cobb. He looks great. He looked great through his first 3 starts. Then you talk about Jose Quintana, who looked washed up. He has been solid. And then how about Shohei Ohtani? After coming off Tommy John surgery, he hasn't been good as a pitcher. He's been good hitting. He is showing his true power, at the plate, and he is hitting a remarkable .563 with 3 home runs and 5 RBIs. That's very impressive to me. If this Angels team could continue to play at such a high rate as they have in spring training and translate that over to the regular season, watch out for the Angels.
We do have a couple of comments. First one's from Marty Jones. 2014 Baltimore Orioles could beat them. And then John Suggs says Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, Clemens, Maddox, Nolan Ryan. I would say Sandy Koufax, but he only was dominant 5 years, not long enough. Marty, I do have something to say about your Washington football team comment that you made yesterday, but that's for another show, for another day. So stay tuned for that. Going back, Greg, what has been a surprise for you for this spring training? I know it's only spring training. It doesn't really count for the regular season. But what has been a surprise for you?
Well, I'll tell you what. I think that Jonathan, I don't know how he did it living down in Southern Cali, but I think he got a glimpse of my notes because that's the Royals and the Angels. Yeah, we're talking Bobby Witt Jr. He's tearing it up. He's hit 3 home runs already this spring training. In a perfect world, I think the Royals would love to get him some AA and AAA at bats and get him more experience at the minor league level before bringing him up. But he's playing so well that I don't know if he can be denied a spot at this point. But they had to bring him up in 2022. But I think that he may be getting here a year early just because of the way he's playing and everything. So, I think that if he's playing well, they'll keep him around and bring him up. And if he's not, I guess they can always have that option to send him back down to the minors for a while, get some more at bats and more experience that way. Because they really had long-term expectations to bring him up and let him get more at bats, get more experience through the minor league level and work his way up. But yeah, he's tearing it up right now. He's hitting over 300. Brady Singer, he's really pitching well. Young pitcher. I think he's only got 1 year of experience. He was an excellent pitcher for the Gators a few years ago. So everything's kind of clicking right now. I mean, it is early for with spring training. I mean, the regular season hasn't started yet, but yeah, the Royals are looking good. And then I watched a little bit last night of Quintana pitch against the Mariners. Mm-hmm. He looked excellent. He only threw 70 pitches. I don't know if they have a restriction on how many pitches you can throw for spring training, but yeah, he looked excellent. He only gave up a couple hits over 70 pitches. I think he pitched about 6 innings or so, or 5.5 innings. So Quintana looked like he had plenty of juice left in his arm. So I think that the Angels, I think that their pitching is going to surprise a lot of people. I know that a lot of people, they don't have much pitching, but I think you're going to see a bounce back from Quintana and a few other arms. They didn't go out and spend a lot of money on pitching, but I think they're going to be able to get by, and they're showing signs of life right now. And as I predicted earlier, I think that the Angels are going to win the West this year in the American League, and I also think that the Royals I think they're going to be kind of in the middle. I think they're going to be right behind the Twins and the White Sox in that division, but I think they could compete. They picked up Benintendi. Brady Singer's pitching well. Bobby Witt, he's tearing it up. If that can translate, later on this season, if he's still, if they do decide to bring up Witt, I think that's going to bring some pop into their lineup, and he can either play second or short. So, it's pretty good that he's pretty durable, that he can play both positions. So,
and I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with Greg about the Angels. The Angels have finally addressed their needs. Starting rotation, they built around Mike Trout now. You saw him sign Anthony Rendon last season. Mike Trout is Mike Trout. He is who he is. He's a generational talent. We all know that. So I do think the Angels are going to be a better team, and they well managed by Joe Madden. Let's not forget that he's changed the culture for 2 MLB teams, and I think now the Angels are finally on to something.
What is it with people and stealing my answers? Well, I'm gonna say though, I have been saying, for a while now, that the Angels are going to probably be a decent team coming into this year. And, I get that it's only spring training, but y'all are saying that y'all are surprised about the Angels right now. And so with the Royals, that answer was taken. Over here in the comment section, John Shuggs took my comment with the Red Sox that they have more wins than losses. So I'm actually going to go off of a surprise take, actually. I'm only saying this because of their record, but I have to go with the New York Yankees. I know they've been great for the past couple of years, but they're 12-4, and ranked, the rankings right now, they're behind the Rangers. They're number 22, 22nd best their farm system's ranked number 22 in the league, and they're 12-4. With Jason Dominguez, Carlos Smith, and David Garcia. I'm shocked at what the New York Yankees are, how well they're doing right now. Okay, so I know I didn't answer the question exactly, but I'm actually going to transfer into the next topic. Who do you think has the best farm system in the MLB right now? I'm going to go with Greg on this one first.
Well, earlier when I first started doing this network, I thought Padres had one of the top-notch farm systems. But now looking through at the players coming up and looking who's waiting in the wings for this team, I've got the Tampa Bay Rays having the best farm system in the major leagues. You got Wander Franco, number 1 prospect. They got about 9 other prospects waiting in the wings. They got a guy named Josh Lowe that is a really good outfielder. So even though Tampa Bay, it looked like they had a little bit of a fire sale this offseason by getting rid of Snell and a few players, they're ready to regroup. They got an excellent farm system. Some people think that if you have a good farm system, that means that you don't have a good team, which isn't necessarily true. You can have a great team and a great farm system at the same time. Sometimes it's one or the other. Some teams spend all their money on free agents and then they get rid of their farm system so they can win now. But the Tampa Bay Rays, they put it together last year, and they didn't really have what you would call a major, payroll like the Yankees or the Mets or Red Sox or anything to roll with. So they made it to the World Series, and you got Arozarena that's probably going to be a Rookie of the Year this year, or at least in the top 2 or 3 for Rookie of the Year. You got some excellent candidates, and they just picked up a lot of good people for their farm system in their trade with San Diego. So I would say that the Tampa Bay Rays probably have the best farm system. So it's going to be kind of interesting what they're going to do with some of these people and who's going to end up having to get shipped out when some of these farm prospects are ready and might have to, get rid of somebody already on the team or make a trade or something at some point, because I think they're pretty wealthy right now with talent.
We do have a couple of comments. I'll read them, but after Jonathan goes.
Yes, I strongly agree with Greg here. I'm going to stay with the Tampa Bay Rays too. In that Blake Snell trade, they acquired an elite pitching prospect in Luis Patino, if I said his name correctly, and then they got a high ceiling catcher in Blake Hunt, who has a lot of promise as well. The Rays farm system boasts a bevy of elite hitting and stellar pitching talent. So the Rays here is a no-brainer. They have consistent drafting, smart draft picks, high-end player development. The Rays have done a good job. They have a great front office. They know how to scout really well, and they have a ton of talent in that farm system.
Going back to the comments right here, John says, I know that spring training, but as a Braves fan, I thought they would come out and be dominating, but just look slow and not pitching like I was hoping. 8-8 record so far, and got one game blown out by the Pirates. And John has his own opinions on it. I'm pretty sure what he's trying to say right there is that the Rays, Blue Jays, and the Marlins are the top three farm systems, with the Braves and Seattle close behind.
Yep, he's right.
Yeah, and yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm actually going to go with the Rays myself. They were actually, I looked at the rankings. They were actually one last year, and they still have been on a roll. That farm system has been great. They know how to draft well. They really know how to. Their scouts really know what they're doing.
The Padres, a top 3 or 4 farm system to outside the top 20 just off of that trade that they pulled off with the Rays to get Snell over there, because they just gave up some really primetime prospects. They just gave up Luis Patino, who's supposed to be a really good up and coming pitcher for him. So it's this one trade could take a team from a really good farm system to a really bad farm system, depending on, what kind of superstar you want to put in your lineup and what you got to pay to get them.
You could easily go from a bottom to a contender.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say right now, watch out, not now, but in the next 2 years, watch out for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now I don't think they're going to be that great. I think they're probably going to get like a below 40 win game. Just throw out a hot take here. Same with the Baltimore Orioles, but in a few years, watch out. They're going to be a crazy team.
Nate, I told you that Hayes kid at third base is going to be a Rookie of the Year candidate this year.
Yeah.
So.
And now going on to the next topic here, we're going to let's see. Hold on. So there was some breaking news, and this relates towards the Boston Red Sox here. And I know it's only a small portion, but I gotta know. And Freddie, if you're watching, I want to know your thoughts are on this as well. What is your take on LeBron James being a part owner for the Boston Red Sox organization? I'm actually going to go first because I have something to say about that. And I said this on Tuesday, but soon, everyone from the Major League Baseball, every organization for Major League Baseball will probably be bought out by players from other teams. And I know I was saying that as a joke, but on Tuesday there was I said in the comments Tuesday Tim read it out loud and he said no, it's the Colorado Rockies. I said just watch, Seattle Mariners are going to be bought out by Russell Wilson. So Jonathan, I want to know what your thoughts are on this first. What is your take? You grew up, from Southern California, so I want to know what your thoughts are on this. Because LeBron James being the Lakers and all, I want to know what your thoughts are on this first. Looks like John is cutting in and out.
LeBron is very diverse.
Oh.
He's not only a basketball player, he's an entrepreneur too. He's doing. Can you guys hear me?
You're cutting in and out.
Okay. I don't know.
Now,
can you guys hear me now?
That's great. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, what I was saying, LeBron is doing everything. He's very diverse. He's not only is he a basketball player, but he's also a businessman. He tries to be a great activist as well off the court. This is significant to Major League Baseball. I think it's amazing that he's become part owner of a baseball team. Of the three major sports leagues in the U.S., the NFL, NBA, MLB, only one principal owner is black, and that's Michael Jordan. So it's great to see some diversity now. But this is also inspirational to me because this man is just successful. He's the epitome of success, and any young man out there should be inspired by it. It's not too far-fetched to say the least. All you got to do is work hard, envision it, and make that dream a reality. So I think this is amazing for Major League Baseball. I think it, brings some more diverse to the game, and that's a great thing. I like it. It's great to see that LeBron wants to get involved. It's a little awkward that he's part owner of a Boston team when he plays for the Los Angeles Lakers. That's it's a bit awkward there, but I love it. I think it's a great business move. And what this tells me is that he has a good relationship with some business partners. And if he's serious about buying a basketball team in the future, or any team for that matter, he will have the backing to do so.
Greg, we're gonna give this to you first. I have a little bit more to add on to it.
Well, when I first heard about it, I didn't know quite how I felt about it, just from the standpoint of LeBron James is still playing professional basketball, and I know that Major League Baseball is a completely separate sport. So, at first I thought, well, I didn't really know how to take it, because I have no problem with professional athletes investing in their investments and getting into professional sports and everything. But it seemed a little awkward to me at first, I guess, when you have a current professional athlete kind of taking a small ownership role in another team, even though it's outside of your sport.
It's the same with the Royals organization too.
What's
that?
It's
the same with the Royals organization too. The Kansas City,
yeah,
with Patrick Mahomes and all.
Yeah, because I don't know how don't know the rules and everything, but apparently, Mahomes has a big investment with the Royals. So I have no problem with how professional athletes want to diversify their portfolio and try to build up their wealth and build up their assets and everything and make investments. I just think it's kind of a new thing, I guess, because I haven't really heard too much about professional athletes investing or becoming co-owners or part owners of different sports franchises while they're playing. I've heard of other players such as Michael Jordan, and some other players investing in smaller roles too, outside of retirement. So it is a little different, but it is interesting to see. I didn't know if there'd be kind of a conflict of interest because we know that all sports, professional sports is kind of a business. But I think that if Major League Baseball and the NBA and the NFL, on Mahomes' end are all kind of able to stay separate from each other and not, get intermixed in whatever their, legalities are. I don't have a problem with it. I think that it's probably a good thing that LeBron and Mahomes and maybe some other players might want to invest in teams as well. It just seems kind of foreign to me to have these players do this, but then we're seeing a lot of players now that have a lot more money than in the past too. So Mahomes, has a mass amount of money because he just signed a huge contract. LeBron, he's made a lot of investments and he's kind of invested a little bit, I think, in the Hollywood entertainment industry as well. So he's got a lot of commercials and stuff and maybe more money to invest. So I don't know. It's not the first time I've heard that a player is doing two things at once, but I was more used to seeing like a Bill Russell kind of coaching and being a player, back when the Boston Celtics were very successful. He player coach. Pete Rose, he was a player coach, but that was doing two things for the same team, coaching and playing for the same team. So I think it's kind of interesting to see. So I have no problem with it. I just didn't know I didn't know all the rules about,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that this was an option for current players to be able to get involved with other sports franchises. So
I do want to read a couple of comments. All three of them are actually from John Suggs. I just want to reminding everybody that if you want to win a free T-shirt, all you have to do is be engaged in the show, like the show, comment the show, and share. Winner wins a free T-shirt. John, he says, giving him ownership stake in his societies that includes like the Boston Red Sox, Liverpool Football Club, and Rush Fenway Racing, and the Regional Sports Network and ESN, which I've heard a lot about, by the way.
Yeah.
And then it says, in addition to James,
Sports Network.
in addition to James coming on, FSG received $750 million investment from Redbird Capital Partners, and then with the league rules preventing current players from owning portions of the NBA or WNBA. All right, so moving on.
So if he wants to buy a professional team in the future,
you're cutting in and out again.
I
John,
am.
You were cutting out. Yeah, you were. You are actually.
Am I good now?
Yeah.
Am I good?
Yeah.
Okay. No, what I was saying, so if he wants to buy a professional team in the future, because the value continues to go up on these professional teams, he will have more than enough money to purchase a team because he has the backing and he has the money to do so.
So we have about close to 15 minutes left. Actually going to go talk a little bit about the Milwaukee Brewers here. what's your take about Milwaukee? Adding Travis Shaw to the 40-man roster. We're gonna go with Jonathan first.
Well, Travis Shaw used to play with the Milwaukee Brewers, so he's coming back. Now he has a chance to revitalize his career with the Milwaukee Brewers. We don't really know Ryan Braun's status. So, I mean, because he's been contemplating retirement. So I think maybe, the Brewers needed to bring somebody back. They don't have a clear-cut starting third baseman, and giving Shaw a chance to step right in and regain his old job would be huge for him. And he could be a great utility guy. Shaw is a left-handed hitter. He batted .273 with 31 home runs, 101 RBIs, and an 862 on base percentage for the Brewers in 2017. He followed that up by batting .240 with 32 homers and 86 RBIs. So the guy has been productive for Milwaukee. They know what they're getting in him. But can he be the Travis Shaw of old? Can he still produce at such a high level? The hope is that they get a really good version of Travis, the old Travis that was an important part of their team. So I think it's a great move. It's not that much of a curious move. It's a move that makes a lot of sense because he used to play there. And they don't know what Ryan Braun's future is going to look like as well.
I will say this, though. I think part of the reason why they brought him back is because of what happened to Mark Matthews. He's on a 68 injured list with a torn librium in his right shoulder. So that could be part of the reason why they did what they did. Could you see before Greg? I'm gonna go with you on this one. One, answer the previous question. Do you and two? Can you see him playing for this team longer than a year?
Okay, you cut out on the first question. All right. Okay, who are you talking about? Statmaster Nate?
So Mark Matthews, he went on a 60-day injured list with a torn librium in his right shoulder. So my question is, though, with them signing Travis Shaw, one, what are your thoughts on this? And two, do you think Travis Shaw will be in there for more than 1 year?
It's going to depend on how well Travis Shaw plays. The ball. I mean, it's pretty much dependent on Travis Shaw and whether he can get a little bit of his form back. When Travis Shaw a few years ago played for the Brewers, he knocked out 31 home runs. But since then, he's kind of slid. He's hit well below 300. He hasn't exactly been tearing it up the last year and a half or so. So I think that with Mark Mathias out for 60 days with his torn labrum, that set up an avenue for him to get back with the Brewers. They picked him up. Council has said that he really likes Travis Shaw and thinks that he can be a great asset to the team. I think that from any athlete's standpoint, one of the biggest things that an athlete wants to know is exactly where they stand on the team and what their status is. And I think that with Travis Shaw coming in, they've told him, hey, you don't have necessarily a starting job locked up. You're going to have some competition, but we believe that you can help give us a spark, and you've got great power and great hitting ability, and we want to see what you can add to the team. And I think that he's just wanting to continue to improve and maybe see what he can add. So I definitely see him, if he can have a lot of success he's going to be there for more than a year. I think that the Brewers organization likes Travis Shaw. They like what he can bring. He's not exactly tearing it up, hitting for average for the last few years, but he has had some years where he's provided a lot of power in that lineup for the Brewers in the past. So, he's going to have a little bit of competition. He's got Orlando Arcia and Luis Urias kind of in the mix, competing for a third base spot. But there's plenty, like Jonathan said, there's a lot of right-handed pitching going on, and he's a lefty. So, you could put him in the lineup against some of these right-handed pitchers, and I think that he could do pretty well because he feasts pretty well off of right-handed pitching. So the NL is loaded with right-handed pitching. So I think that this may be a good year for Travis Shaw to be in the National League and see what he can do. I think that he's going to be a valuable player. I don't know if he's going to be an everyday starter, but I think that with the Brewers, they haven't invested a whole lot of money. It's not like they had to really dig deep, in their pocketbook for Travis Shaw. He's not a 30 million year guy or anything like that level player. So I think that it's a good pickup and fairly inexpensive. And I don't know. I kind of like the move, and I think that he'll be around for a couple of years in a Brewers uniform.
So, we're going to stick with the Brewers, but we're going to actually talk about different players. Actually, somebody who used to play for the Brewers organization, and we're going to talk about a guy named by Ryan Braun. He came out and he said, his former MVP, former Rookie of the Year. He came out and said that he is strongly leaning towards retirement. Do you think that do you think that is the best move for him? And since we went with Jonathan the last two times first, we're actually going to go with Greg on this one next.
Well, I've heard reports that Ryan Braun hasn't even picked up a bat since last season ended, which isn't a very good sign to show that he's really motivated, with the game of baseball right now. But I think that, it's pretty clear that the Brewers are pretty much, it's the end of the road for him with the Brewers.
Yeah.
And, regardless of whether he retires or not, he's expected to get about $4 million as a parting gift for what the Brewers owe him for a buyout. So he could retire and get the $4 million from the Brewers, without playing, or he could maybe get picked up. But the fact is that he's not really, from what I understand, he's not really working out all that hard. He hasn't really picked up a bat. So I don't know if his interest is there. It sounds like he's kind of wanting to see what the world looks like and how things are going with the COVID restrictions and everything. So he might be having a little bit more of the Ian Desmond kind of mindset on things. Ian Desmond doesn't sound like he's wanting to retire, but I don't know. This may all play a factor in whether Braun wants to really deal with, nobody really in the stands and all this stuff. But I think that he will probably come back, but, he's missed out on a lot of spring training and everything. So if he does try to come back, he's probably going to have to hit it hard come around summertime, and maybe he'll get picked up. He still has a good bat. He's not a terrible outfielder, but the fact that the Brewers went out and got Jackie Bradley says a lot that the Brewers are definitely ready to move on from Ryan Braun. So,
I'm actually going to go next on this one. I'm going to say that, if he hasn't picked up a bat, he's played 14 seasons. He's had a great career. Nothing goes towards his career. But if he's strongly leaning towards retirement, I think he probably should. He hasn't made up his mind yet, but I think once there's thought about it, then yeah, I think he should probably hang it up. He hasn't played since over a year, so I think he probably should. But Jonathan, take it away. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, maybe right now he just needs some time to clear his head, and then maybe he might decide to make a comeback in the future. I think right now he's just focused on his family. He wants to go home and spend time with his kids, and he's played a phenomenal career. He spent his entire career with the Milwaukee Brewers. It just came to an end for him. All great things must come to an end.
Mhm.
And, when the Brewers went out and got Jackie Bradley Jr., that was the red flag right there that they were moving on from Ryan Braun, but he's played one hell of a career in Milwaukee. He's still a household name there. One day he will have his jersey number retired for sure for what he's accomplished there in his career. But I think he's not feeling it right now. Baseball, it might be the last thing on his mind at this moment. Maybe he is doing, like Greg said, what Ian Desmond is doing. I've read a report that he cited health concerns. I don't know how true that is, but that's might be why he decided to step away from the game. We really don't know. All we know is that, according to what we read in here, is that he hasn't picked up a bat in some time. So he's definitely not in game shape. He's definitely not ready for this upcoming season. So maybe he just needs to take some time off, take a breather, and see where he goes from there. Maybe after next season.
John Shugs, again, mentioning another comment. He has a comment, asking a question about Justin Verlander. He will be a free agent in the year 2022. He still has a long ways. Estimating probably around 37. Do you think he will retire at the end of this year with the Astros, or do you think someone will take a chance to play on him next year? You know what? You're already shaking your head. So, Jonathan, why don't you go next?
No, I think he's going to hang up the cleats and put the ball in the dugout and call it a career. Look, he's had a great career as well. At one time, he was at the highest level a pitcher can be. He was one of the best pitchers in the game. He was dominant on the mound. He was a crafty thrower, a hard throwing pitcher. No one could hit him. He was just unhittable at one point in his career. But you're starting to see a decline. And I don't know how he will come back from this injury. I really don't. None of us do. So I think, Justin Verlander is going to say, there's going to come a time where I just hang it up good and just walk away from the game, this way, because if you come back and you don't have a great season, does that, damage your legacy? Maybe a little bit. So I think he wants to go out on a good note, and now would be a good time if he doesn't have a great season this year.
Greg, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that if he wouldn't have had a really bad injury, I think that the team might want to take a chance at him. He is 37, which is getting up there a little bit for a pitcher. Your arm only has so many pitches. I still think that he's got a little bit of life left in him, but I think that if he wanted to retire, I would have no problem with it. You don't want to stay in the game too long where people go, oh, he hung on too long and he should have got out, but then you don't want to really retire and people go, well, he left too early. I mean, he still had plenty in the tank. So I think around 37, 38, I think that'd be about the right time to kind of bow out. The great thing about Justin Verlander is he's always had excellent stuff. He's had a really good curveball, always had plenty of zip on the baseball. He always threw around 97, 98. Now I think he's throwing around 90, 94, 95. Still has some zip on the baseball, but he's done everything he can in a baseball uniform. I mean, he put the Detroit Tigers on the map for quite some time and helped
helped them get to a World Series in the early 2000s. I had Justin Verlander as a definite starter on my all 2010s team that we never have gotten to in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
2
yes.
weeks there, Nate. So, definitely a future Hall of Fame pitcher. So I don't know. I think that a team may be interested, but I don't know how much money he would want. If a team was interested, I don't know how much his value is going to be with a 37, 38-year-old arm. But I can see him probably deciding to call it quits fairly soon. Yeah, I definitely can see retirement for Verlander coming within the next year or two.
So what's I gonna say? Oh yeah. So we're getting close to time. It's actually 1 minute and 30 seconds. I guess we're gonna have to move that topic to next week about the whole 2010s league. So Jonathan, since you were the guest, I'll let you go first. Any final thoughts that you have before we give this a close?
I want to thank you guys for having me on tonight. It was a pleasure to talk baseball with you and Greg. And Greg, it was amazing to do this show with you, man. Hopefully sometime soon again we can get together and talk some baseball. Maybe we can talk some baseball on my YouTube channel or something.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, it's very nice to meet you, Jonathan.
A pleasure to meet you. Absolutely. I had a blast on the show today.
Greg, you're next. So what do you have? What are your last final thoughts?
Well, to get off topic here, as we know, it's the moment we've been waiting for quite some time. March Madness is coming back. Madness will be here tomorrow. So the road to the Final Four technically starts tonight, but it's gonna start tomorrow. So I hope that everybody has their bracket filled out, and if you got a little bit of coin in your pocket, don't be afraid to put a 20 on St. Bonaventure or Winthrop, because you never can go wrong with just putting a little coin down on some underdogs. So that's about all I got for tonight. And I thought that tonight's show went really well, and we had a lot of fun. And I'm hoping that we can all do it. The three of us can all do it soon. It's unfortunate that the guy that came up with all the questions couldn't be here to answer his questions.
Yes, we'll definitely have to pick on him Monday on that because it's the same three guys who are on both the Sports Corner and this show. So
hey, Madness back. It's a feeling of some normalcy again. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually I have two things to say for my final thoughts. One, I'm just going to give a little bit of a score finalization here. Mount St. Mary's is eliminated from. They won't be able to make the round of 64. They lost to Texas Southwestern. Texas Southwestern will move on. Not that it's going to matter though. And now Drake and Wichita State play, and Drake won actually by 1 point over Wichita State. Final score is 53-52. And as currently Appalachian State and Norfolk State is actually up 19-11 over Appalachian State. So I'm actually 1-1 for my predictions right now.
Very good.
Yeah. And then the other final thing, I have to say is stay tuned. Stay tuned for the next show. The next show, I think this is the last show tonight, but tomorrow, starting at 12, is when our next show is, and that's Sports Status by me and Brandon Herrera. So this has been Jonathan, Greg, and I, and signing out for now. Have a great night or good morning, depending on what part of the world you are.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.